What's up, guys? It's Cassie and Sara, and today we're talking about the Manson family cult and their killing spree.
So if you like watching murder mysteries, make sure you hit that subscribe button and keep on watching. The Manson family, including Manson and his younger loyal disciples, is thought to have carried out some 35 killings. Most of their cases were never tried in part of lack of evidence. The perpetrators had also already been sentenced to life for the killings on August 9, 1969. Actress Sharon Tate, writer Frykowski, his partner, coffee bean heiress Abigail Folger, and celebrity hairstylist Jay Sebring, and two more victims on August 10, 1969. Wealthy supermarket executive Leno LaBianca and his wife Rosemary. In August 1969, Manson gathered a group of his most loyal family followers to carry out his massacre among Hollywood's elite and most beautiful people. The first of Manson's victims was murdered at the home Polanski had rented, located at 10050 Cielo Drive in Benedict Canyon, an area just north of Beverly Hills. Polanski was away in London shooting a film, and the four victims had just returned home from dinner at the time of the murder. While Manson himself took no part in the actual killings, he directed four of his most obedient followers: Charles Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian, to the address and directed them to kill everyone. According to one of the family member statements, the Polanski household had been targeted because it represented the showbiz world that had rejected Manson. Stephen Parent had been visiting his friend Garrettson when he became the Manson family's first victim. As he drove away from the house in the dark, early morning hours, he was spotted by the intruders and shot dead. Kasabian was horrified by the shootings of the boy, and she remained outside to keep watch. Kasabian acted as the getaway driver and was to become the star witness during the trial. When the other three broke into the house, they herded Tate, Frykowski, Folgers, and Sebring into the living room and tied them up. Sebring was shot and brutally kicked as he tried to defend Tate. During the terrifying murder spree, both Frykowski and Folger managed to escape from the house but were chased and stabbed to death. At the trial, Kasabian described how she saw Frykowski staggering out of the house covered in blood and was horrified at the sight. She told him she was sorry, but despite her pleas to his attacker to stop, the victim was bludgeoned repeatedly. Folger escaped from the house with terrible injuries, but she was caught on the front lawn and stabbed 28 times. 8 months pregnant, Tate pleaded for the life of her unborn child. She was mercilessly stabbed in the stomach by Atkins. Kasabian told of Atkins' chilling words to Tate before she stabbed her. "Look, bitch, I have no mercy for you. You're going to die, and you better get used to it." Atkins then used Tate's blood to write the word pig on the front door. However, instead of this brutal massacre sating the pathological Manson, he criticized the murderers for being sloppy. The following night, Manson took family members Watson, Krenwinkel, and Leslie Van Houten to the Los Feliz address of the LaBiancas, and the couple was murdered in a similarly horrifying fashion.
So, let's talk about this.
That was a lot to take in.
Yeah, that's a lot. A long portion. Anyways, they thought that the Manson family was kind of like a cult, sort of, because like
they were murdering,
but it wasn't him. Like,
it wasn't
he directed
him.
them to go do it, so like things could like fall back on them, but like not him. You know what I mean? Unless they said, "Oh, he directed us to do this." Otherwise, like it was just them. But they killed all of these like Hollywood elites
because he was rejected from show business. So if he wasn't rejected from show business, none of this would have happened.
It's possible. It's very likely.
Come on, showbiz.
Could you imagine Charles Manson in like movies instead of being known as like a mass murderer?
Well, he'd probably be really good at playing like those
serial killers.
Creepy serial killers.
They killed Sharon Tate, who was pregnant.
Yeah, and
though Atkins
was like, "You're gonna die, so you gotta get used to this." Okay.
Moving on.
Ironically, Manson and his family were arrested not on suspicion of the Tate LaBianca murders, but simply on the belief that they had vandalized a portion of the Death Valley National Park while they were hiding out in the Mojave Desert. In 1969, the county sheriff had taken them into custody, not realizing that they were involved in the heinous murders. But it was through the confessions of Susan Atkins, while held in detention on suspicion of murdering Gary Hinman during the unrelated incident, that led detectives to realize that Manson and his followers were involved in the killings. Various motivations were examined during the course of the trial. The most feasible was that Manson's pathological ego, insanity, and beliefs in Armageddon were influences that led him to leave behind a trail of destruction. Manson believed that he was the new Messiah, and that after a nuclear attack, he and his followers would be saved by hiding in a secret world under the desert. According to defense witness and killer Van Houten, this was the primary reason why they murdered the LaBiancas. Manson had taken the wallet of murdered Rosemary LaBianca with the intention that he would deposit it in a section of LA where an African American might find it, use it, and then possibly have the murders pinned on them. Later in court, Van Houten, who was just 19 when she took part in the LaBianca killings, alleged that Manson had taken advantage of her vulnerability and dislike for her mother, although she believed, like the other members, that he was a man of vision.
Okay, so in that little section, they were arrested.
But not for what you would think they were.
No. Because they vandalized part of, like, where they were hiding out.
Yeah.
Which, again, like, what is up with these killers and being, like, arrested for something that is so dumb?
Like our last video. What was it, a speeding ticket or a parking ticket he got arrested for?
Yeah, he thought he was a messiah and that he was gonna, like, bring change or whatever. Oh, my God.
Something's up. Her eyes failing her.
Why I think it makes people believe that it was more of like a cult because they were living in a cave under the desert and they thought there was going to be a nuclear attack. He thought he was the Messiah, which a lot of like cult leaders believe in the Messiah.
I feel like just the followers he had.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them were just women, right? I'm pretty sure the majority of them were women.
Yeah. 30 years later, during a parole board hearing, Van Houten said she was horrified by what she had done that night and desperately wanted to redeem herself. She was denied parole in 2006 and again in 2010. Susan Atkins admitted in initial confessions to fellow prisoners that she had wanted to cut out Tate's unborn baby but didn't have the time. She also revealed that other grisly and macabre acts were to be perpetrated against the victims and that a list of other high-profile Hollywood stars were on the list to be killed and mutilated. These included Elizabeth Taylor and husband Richard Burton, Frank Sinatra, Steve McQueen, and Tom Jones. When asked why they wanted to kill celebrities, Atkins replied that the Manson family wanted to commit murders that would shock the world and make people take notice. The trial began in June 1970 with lawyer Ronald Hughes named the attorney for Manson and Van Houten. Hughes soon dropped Manson as a client, reportedly because he felt he could convince the jury that Van Houten had been unduly influenced by the family leader. The move may have cost him his life. Late in that year, Hughes went camping and disappeared, and his decomposed body turned up several months later. It is thought that he was the victim of a retaliation killing by members of Manson's family. During the trial, Manson released an album titled Lie in an effort to raise money for his defense. He reveled in the media attention, and during court proceedings, he turned up with an X carved into his forehead. Some of his female followers copied the act and shaved their heads, sometimes sitting outside the courthouse. The X was gradually modified until it turned into a swastika. Throughout the trial, the killers often giggled and exchanged grimaces with Manson, showing no remorse for their crimes. On January 25, 1971, Manson was convicted of first-degree murder for directing the deaths of the Tate LaBianca victims. He was sentenced to death, but this was automatically commuted to life in prison after California's Supreme Court invalidated all death sentences prior to 1972. He was sentenced to life in prison and spent the next 4 decades behind bars. Kasabian was granted immunity for her part as star witness. Susan Atkins was sentenced to death, but her sentence was later commuted to life in prison. She was incarcerated from 1969 until her death in 2009.
The Manson family is wild.
Wild!
So wild. Susan Atkins confessed to other inmates that she wanted to cut out Tate's unborn child. I definitely feel like the people who are following Manson aren't just like random people. They're other people who desire to do bad
who have more
things.
like sick tendencies. Like
not just like random people.
I love how he put out an album.
That's what I was thinking. Like, what, he was recording while he was in prison?
I kind of want to hear it.
How does that work though? How do you put out an album while you're in prison?
I don't know.
On trial.
Carved an X into his, you know.
Yeah, why?
Which later, I guess, turned into a swastika.
Yeah, they kept adding, like, the lines and stuff. And, like, the girls did it, too. The girls that were following him. Why? To just show, like, to get more media attention, I'm assuming, because he reveled in it.
I don't know, maybe they thought, like, if he took notice, they'd be like...
Maybe it was to, like, show, like, how
large his family is.
Yeah, or, like, tight they were, like, to actually carve something into their head.
Obviously, there's more out there that did not get caught.
Yeah, because the lawyer...
He disappeared.
Yeah.
Because he dropped Manson.
Which, I mean...
Like that.
That's probably a good idea, because he's not getting out. So, for the lawyer, it was a smart move, but now he's dead.
Now he's dead.
So, less of a smart move.
Manson died on November 19th, 2017 of natural causes. He had been in prison for more than 40 years for his crimes. Days earlier, Manson had been admitted to a hospital in Bakersfield, California. However, no details about his medical condition or his location were disclosed, due to privacy and security reasons. The longtime prisoner had also been hospitalized earlier in the year. Manson had been serving time in Corcoran State Prison in California since 1971. In 2012, he was denied parole for the 12th time.
Yeah, he died, but he must have been having, like, medical issues because he was in
he was so fucking old. What did you expect?
What happened to, like, the rest of his family?
They
just, like, dissipate, or are they still, like...
I don't know. I feel like they gather together to mourn him, but since they didn't have anyone to
lead them anymore,
they probably just kind of were like, let's just mourn him and think of him.
Yeah, because I feel like when cult leaders, like, go to jail or die or whatever, like, the cult doesn't typically keep going.
It's like takes like a standstill, I feel like.
Yeah, because that
like
was
a hiatus waiting for them or something.
This story to me is, like, nuts.
You know, I've never actually read into it, but I always thought he performed the killings. It's interesting to, like, hear that and read that
he did nothing.
Did nothing except tell them who they're gonna kill.
Which, like, tells you, like, how mastermind he is and, like, how
manipulative.
Yeah. But, yeah, that's the story of the Manson family cult. We hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Oh, I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it.
It was a good video.
Make sure you like and subscribe, comment, hit that post notification bell, and our social media is down below, so make sure you follow us on social media.
We will see you guys next Friday. Peace!